Okay. So the first thing as usual is to welcome everyone to Caris Black Project's Mentorship School. And as we've also established that Mentorship School is a platform where young people can, get guidance and support in their self-development, capacity development in their careers and in their personal lives as well. So once again, you are welcome to the third session. This is our third session. I'm really excited because the first session we had Rosemary talk to us about how to become a freelance content writer. And the second session we had yesterday was Lorraine Muganda from Kenya, and she talks about what to do if the plan doesn't go as planned. And today we have an amazing person, but before we go into that, let's just a little bit of the housekeeping. So please turn off your audio if your audio is on so that we minimize distractions. And also you can either leave your video on or off. If you have enough data to spare, then you can leave your video on. But if you want to conserve your data, please turn off your video. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, get to know each other, let us know what your name is, your occupation, and the country you're joining us from. So the mentorship school, as well as it's a platform where you can learn from experienced experts and business leaders in the industry, it's also a platform where you can network with like-minded youths as yourself. So please go into the chat, let us know your name, your occupation, where you're joining from, and let us get to know each other better. And also during the session, if you do have questions, please put them in the chat. Or you can note them, and then when it's time for the question and answer, you can put it in the chat, or you can put it in the chat and then the mentor would answer your questions. And if you are sharing anything about mentorship school on your social media, what you're learning, key takeaways that you've gotten during the session, please always use the hashtag mentorship school so that we can always find your content and reshare it on our platforms as well. So I would be moving on to introduce our mentor for today. Our mentor for today is an amazing person, and I will just go into it. So his name is Akin Akinpelu, and he's a seasoned educational consultant, a visionary leader with a keen sense for forward thinking and shaping the global education system. He possesses about 15 years of extensive experience in leading, designing, developing, and implementing educational programs in different fields, which include corporate, nonprofits, NGOs, and government agencies. Akin has served at key positions on several boards, which include being the CEO and director of Erudio Hub. He's a partner at OARD. He's a partner for TC Resource Technology in United Kingdom, with partnership system from Amazon, Google, MySQL, Tableau, and APM, which is a united body of project professionals. And so with that, I would like us to welcome Mr. Akin Akinpelu, Principal Consultant at Edge Consulting. So let me see if he's here with us. Oh, okay. I guess he's trying to join into the call. So give me a few seconds to just send him to see if I can help him get into the call. Kindly bear with us, trying to get Mr. Akin on the call. So please hold on. Thank you very much. Okay, let me just check that quickly.
Kindly help look into that as we proceed together.
All right.
Right. So. Good evening from here, everybody. I hope we're good. Hello, students. Hello, friends here. Can I get feedbacks? Can I be sure we're good together? Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Fantastic. So it's good to have you here, John Umar, Joshua, Samson, Nancy, Nigia, and Sheon. So we would run this together, and we are going to be looking at the personal and business networking, which is translated as how to network your way to the top. And so thank you very much, Charis Black, for doing this. Goodness, for putting this together. I think this is very good. It is very encouraging for times that we are in, for the gap that you are feeling. I think it's such a good one for us to do for this generation. Right, so I get straight into my teaching because I have a limited time, and let's see how we can flog this together. We're talking about networking. So before we talk about personal and business networking, I'm going to first share with you a personal story that I think is going to help you. I mean, so all the people I'm talking to here, are you Nigerians? So yeah, just stay on this slide. Like, this is fantastic. Are we all Nigerians? Can you write to the chat box? Can we interact into the chat box together? So it will help my demographic instructions from here. So are we all Nigerians, or where are you from? Where are you listening from or participating from? Okay, Josh is Nigeria. Fantastic. Goodness, are we all Nigerians here? Okay, John Omar, Nigeria. All right, goodness, you're talking to me again.
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry for that.
I asked a question. Do we all have Nigerian delegates? Are we all Nigerians here?
Okay, Nancy is from Kenya, but most of us here are Nigerians. But we have Nancy. She's from Kenya.
Okay. Okay, fantastic, Nancy. That's pretty good. So you're Kenyan, so we are also Nigerian. So because we're Africans rather, so it helps us to be able to work within the specificity of these slides. So we're good together. So some years ago, in the year 2004, I boarded a flight from Lagos. Lagos is a city in Nigeria. I boarded a flight from Lagos, and I was going to a state called Abia State, which is in the east of Nigeria. But Abia did not have the airport, so I had to look for the closest airport where I can participate in, and I went through the airport called Owerri Airport, so that once I get to Owerri Airport, I can negotiate my way by road. Just in about 1 hour, I will be in the city of Abia. So while I was on that flight, I met someone who was sitting next to me in the aircraft. So the man walked into the place. As the man walked into the place, the man he was a bit of average height. He had his glasses on. He came and he sat down. And the first thing I said to myself, which is a personal rule, that there's nobody I would ever meet and I would not say hi to, or I would not say, oh, it's good to meet you, and I want to interact. No, it's part of my personal creed for life. So when I meet you, I want to first interact with you. So before I started this class, the first thing I wanted to do is to also interact with everybody in the class, whether by chat or by voice. It's just something that I am programmed to do as a person, right? So, and I started a conversation with this man, and this man wasn't interested in my conversation at first. So this man was going through his newspapers. So, and after a while, see what happens. It was just 5 minutes for us to get out of the aircraft. And this man says, "Oh, young man, I'm so sorry that we couldn't interact the way you wanted us to interact." So he says, "You have 5 minutes, so let's talk." And we began to talk, and we had a good and a fantastic conversation in about 5 minutes, which I consider one of the best conversations and the shortest one I've ever had in my life. So as we're coming down the aircraft, the man was carrying a briefcase, and I said, "Oh, can I help you with a briefcase?" Because here in Nigeria, particularly because I'm from the West, there is a way we always perceive people who are probably 10 years and above older than you are. You know, so I said, "Can I help you with your briefcase?" Even though I had my own bag with me, or my briefcase, and I carried it for him. As we stepped out of the aircraft, I saw 5 men walking towards me. And I had to ask myself, "Oh, is it that what I've done in the past is about to catch up with me?" Because just some years before that time, I just got out of a debt and I was owing a lot of money, but which I just paid, as it were. So I got myself, and I remembered, "Oh, I'm not alone. There's a man with me." So it's either I'm going to jail or they're coming to pick up this man that is with me inside the space. And interestingly, see what happens. I noticed that they came close to this man and they saluted him. And he said I should give them his briefcase. And the man gave me his card. When he gave me his card, he said, "Please keep in touch with me." So by the time I got into my car and I opened up to just check the name of this person inside the car, alas, guess the name of the person that I saw. This name is called Professor Yemi Osibajo. Professor Yemi Osibajo is the present vice president of Nigeria for the past, I think, about 6 years now, thereabout. You know, so he's the vice president of Nigeria, but as at that time, he was not the vice president. He was just a commissioner, the attorney general for Lagos State. Then he runs his own law firm where he just does his own litigation cases from and all of that. You know, and I found that interesting at that level, without knowing he was going to ever be a vice president. Then I began to build up relationship with him. So one day I showed up in his office and I said to him, "Oh, I'd like to learn from you, sir. I'd like you to mentor me." And that's how we started the conversation, and we became friends from there. I got to learn a lot from him. And interestingly, he had a particular personal assistant. The name of his personal assistant is called Tunde Rukere. Tunde Rukere was just a PA to him. But I also have a rule. If I meet a man, I respect him and I honor him, and I also respect the PAs or the assistants or the advisors that work with the person. I will never ever say, "Oh, because I know the boss, I'm not going to treat the underdogs well." Many times people don't know, and this is something I know, that many times your files cannot pass into some larger places or bigger places just because you look down on the people who are on the passage to that place of greatness. So you can know the top, but your files may not be able to move right there just because you don't know how to network with everybody that you find in your life. Fast forward into that, just about 15 years after the time, only for me to find out that the person I've been interacting with was going to be the number 2 of the country called Nigeria. And that brings me to my point on personal and business networking. There's nothing you can do if you do not have a good networking strategy, whether personally or for your business. Can you move 2 slides ahead now? So for us to run, right? So you'll find out that there's something called social intelligence, and social intelligence is powerful. You can get a job from an organization through what you call technical intelligence, or what you call IQ, that's intelligent quotient. You know, but the person who is promoted faster, the person who is seen as more serious, is somebody who has some level of what you call emotional intelligence or social intelligence, the ability to be able to coordinate everybody around and be able to get results. So you find out that most times the managers of organizations are not necessarily the most intelligent there. There could always be somebody under them who is much more intelligent than they are, but there is a leadership capacity and a leadership ability that they have that helps them to be able to get their job done. So you must understand that this world we live in will deal with people. There must be a people connection. There must be be a people linkage. There must be a people, a ripple effect that you have on people every time you meet with them. So that moves me to the next point, or move 2 slides ahead. And so let me tell you exactly what this means. What do we call networking, and how do you explain networking to the top? Now, so you must understand that life is about relationships, and relationships will always compensate for the things that you do not have. Don't ever want to have everything to yourself. Most times the energy of life has already put these things together in a particular place where relationships can work it out for you. Every time I gather SME, people who run SMEs together, and I tell them, look into your directory, go into your contact. There's somebody who can do a website for you. There's somebody who can get you an office space. There's somebody who is into technology. There's somebody who is into IT. There's somebody who is into this. You don't have to spend money for everything. So if you learn to leverage, you will spend lesser money. As a matter of fact, there's something called OPM, other people's money. There's something called OPT, other people's time. So this is just you leveraging on the relationships that are all around you. And that's why the virtue of emotional intelligence is very important. And I'm going to get there real fast. So can we move on the slides now? So I'll just read through some definitions to you, and we move to something else. Networking is key, and it's a social activity by which groups of like-minded business people recognize, they create or act on business opportunities. Next slide. So I want to share with you 3 definitions of networking. It's a process of establishing a mutually beneficial relationship with other people, potential clients, and also customers. So you find out that you must be able to have a mutually benefiting relationship. The third one is it's also linking people together through trust and relationships. You build them, and you talk them together. So it's talking about trust and relationship here. Next slide. So this is very, very important that you know that it is key. And what is the purpose of connection? You need to be able to connect with people, because there's nothing you can get done in life without people. That's where you get your referrals. That's where you get your resources. That's where you get your platforms. That's where you get your support. That's where you get your information from. So people are important. Somebody, one day, the magazine sat down with me and they were asking me a few questions. And I said, what's my greatest problem on earth? I said, people. And they said, what's my best on earth? I said, people. And I said, I just had to explain to them that people can be fantastic, but the idea is that they can be good and they can be bad, but the management of that is just going to make you emerge as somebody really, really great in life. Moving on, please, on the next slide. Now, so why do we network together? So I'm going to deal with that in 5 different levels. Can you move to the next slide? 5 different levels of why we network together. I was going to teach about 10 tips to networking, but I'm going to teach just 5, and the rest can be studied later. Now, number 1, you must learn to be genuine and you must engage. Genuine is you don't have to be fake to network with people. You don't have to be who you are not. You don't have to impress the person about who you are not. So, and you must also engage. So when you engage, just be you. But one of the things you must understand is before you engage a person, you must be prepared. You must set what is called a network goal. Why do you want to meet me? And that's why personal development is key. I mean, one of my friends many years ago was in the aircraft with this South African man. You know how he was speaking with this man, and he met this man in the aircraft, this great man from South Africa. I mean, the greatest man that ever walked through South Africa, and began to speak to this man. And the only thing he could say to the man in the aircraft was that, "Oh, I love your tie, nice tie." And the man said, "Thank you." And that was all he could say to the man, till the man walked away from him. And I said to him, "You mean you met this kind of man in your lifetime?" And I said, "What did you ask him?" He said, "I just gave him a compliment that he was putting on a nice tie." I said, "You have wasted the greatest opportunity of your life because you've not been able, you didn't learn how to engage and how to be genuine." So that number 2, I said, learn to set network goals. Network goals are powerful. And so I was talking about personal development. You grow yourself. How to ask questions, higher order thinking questions. There are 2 levels of questions. There's something called the higher order thinking question, and there's something called the lower order thinking question. The higher order thinking question, anytime you speak from that dimension of that multiple theory, anybody who sits with you would know that he's talking to an intelligent person. The person is likely to give you more time for you to talk and gist together. But the moment the person perceives that you're a low person, the person is not even interested. I mean, are either done or gone. When you meet someone, the D and G principle, and that's not Dolce and Gabbana now. D and G principle, you are either done or you are gone. And that's why you must always have that network goals before you get there. Number 3 is that you learn to ask questions and observe. So this is the icebreaker. The moment somebody tells you this is who you are, and when you meet the person, I say, oh, may I meet you and tell me what you do? The moment the person tells you his or her name and begins to tell you what he or she does, from that conversation, you can just pick up the next thing you are going to ask. Are you with me? So that it helps it's not when the person is now done, you now keep quiet and you're thinking of the next thing. No, there's something called the smartness of the mind. The smartness of the mind, what it does is that it can pick the next question while you are carefully listening to the person. So the 3rd level is you must learn to ask questions, listen, and you must also observe. Now, number 4 is that, I can take my time. Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Let me read the information on the box. I was rushing because I just had 30 minutes. So the call will end by 6:40. Okay, so the same link, right? We can come in through the same link, I guess, organize them. So the next thing is be relevant. The next thing is to be relevant. Now, if you meet me for the first time outside, the first question I'm asking myself is, why do you want me to keep up with you? Why do you want me to be your friend? Why do you want me to save your number in the first place? I mean, I've got people who will call me and say, hey, I've been calling you, you didn't pick my call. It's not necessary. So another set of people would say, oh, all this while I've been calling you, you've not saved my number. Honestly, it's not necessary. You cannot force it. It's not necessary. If it is necessary, I'm going to save your number. I'm going to save your digits. And we must be bold enough to tell people as it is, as it were. And you can even diplomatically say it, but it is what it is. So, for example, if you meet somebody for the first time and you got so excited and you gisted together, by the time you get out from that person, the first thing you need to think about is, what can I do for this person to be relevant in his heart? Most times people are thinking about, what can I get from the person? The moment you are thinking, what can I get, you are going to make a big mistake. If you can hear me well, can you be chatting, just write into the chat box. Let me know striking points hitting you so I can know that you are listening to me and you're following me. I like feedbacks a whole lot. So get into the chat box and just tell me, what's striking about what I'm saying and if it is making sense. So good. Follow up. So you're talking about you need to be relevant. So not what can I get from you? People from this side of the world are thinking, how can I get? Get all that you can and can all that you get. No, you should think, what can I do for you? The moment I notice that you have come into my life to do something for me, honestly, there's no how. Even if you don't call me, I will be the one to call you, because there's something we must do together. You must be able to get my weak point by being able to be relevant. And the last one there is the power of follow-up. Sometimes you just have to send text messages, call on the person, not when you get into trouble. That's not when you call people. You just talk, just say, I check up on them. Before Professor Yomi Shibado became the vice president, I relate with him. I'll call him on his birthday. I will send his wife a gift. I will send some of his children gifts on their birthday. I have their birthdays on my iPad, so I get those signals and all of that. So it's not because he's now vice president now, I have to farms him with something we call farms here. No, I don't need to do that. I'm relevant and I will continue to be relevant there. So let's move to the next slide. So if you have not gotten anything, those 5 slides are those 5 points are made that are critical mass of the things I want to share with you today. So let's look at network tips and let's take maybe a few. I think I have over 10, but just take maybe 2, 3 and we move. Next slide, please. And we'll see the next. The first thing you must learn to do is that you must understand what I call emotional bank account. Now, everybody you meet in life, you register and you open an account with them. You open a life account. If you meet a banker, all the banker wants you to do is to open a personal bank or a corporate account with them, right? So the moment you transact with a banker, you have come into a relationship with the banker. So you are now banking with maybe Bank PHB, you're banking with Sterling Bank, you're banking with Standard Chartered Bank, you're banking with GT Bank and any other bank, as it were. You come into a relationship. Now, Do you know that when you meet anybody in your life, you also created an account? That account is called a relationship bank account, or what you will call emotional bank account. Emotional bank account. Just like I'm meeting you for the first time today, we have opened an account. I mean, so you know that, okay, this is Akin Akinpelu speaking to you, you know, and I know that, oh, I met a few people when I spoke here. I met a few people in Carisback and all of that. So that's good. Now, the other thing about bank account is that number two is that there's a transaction page. There's always a withdrawal, or there's something called a deposit, a withdrawal or a deposit. Now, stay with me on emotional bank account. Right. So in emotional bank account, you are either withdrawing or you are depositing. You are either withdrawing or you are depositing. And this is what I'm saying. If you invest into people emotionally, it means you are depositing into them. If you always take from people, it simply means that you are what? Withdrawing. Now, you know what they call overall in the bank, where let's assume you have $100 in the account and you wrote that you want to withdraw $110. That check will bounce. The card will bounce. It's not going to fly. You know why? It's not because they can't give you. What you have is $100, and what you are requesting for is $110. Does that not tell you something about relationships? Have you ever gotten into a tight position in your life and you had to call somebody and say, please, I need you to help me right now? And this person begins to give you some stories. Oh my, oh, so maybe you needed some money. I just needed it so fast. I just feel like I could bank on this friend. And this friend tells you, oh my God, I wish you asked me yesterday. Just yesterday, somebody came and they just cook up stories for you, and they can't be there on the day of your trouble. What that simply means to you is very simple. It tells you that you are trying to withdraw much more than you have deposited. The person is telling you that emotional bank account, you have nothing there, so your check will bounce. So one of the things you must understand is that, how do I deposit into people's emotional bank account? And that's why I say that stop thinking, what can I get? You are thinking, what can I give? How can I be relevant? The moment you pump the person into his emotional bank account, honestly, there's a whole lot you can do with the person. There's a whole lot you can do with the person. One day I got a call from the vice president's office, and the special assistant says to me that, oh, the vice president would like you to go with him to 3 countries and for you to speak on bilateral trades in Africa and blah, 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 blah. And somebody was asking me, my God, how can you just get a call like that from that person, like a number 2 of a country? And I said, no, we invest into what you call emotional bank account. I'm not thinking all the years I never got anything from him. I was just investing. And let me tell you the truth, people who invest into you, you always know, you will never forget. You will never, ever forget. So emotional bank account is key. Let me give you a very good example. One day I went for a family meeting. When I showed up at the family meeting, I had my niece there, you know, who had not seen for some years. So after like 2 years, she came back home and she attended the meeting. It happened that in the sitting room, all the chairs were filled up, and my elder brother came into the place. And because I'm from the western part of Nigeria, if you see an elderly person walk into a place, I mean, it's just normal that you stand up. And this my niece school's abroad, and this my niece does not even understand that. So this niece of mine, does not in America, does not understand that you have to, you know. So, and my brother came and he had to go look for his chair to sit down. Do you know when I came into the meeting? I mean, she ran and she shouted my name. Subconsciously, without thinking, she brought me to her seat. She says, I should sit down? Then she went to get me some water. I said, am I okay? I said, I'm okay. People were asking me, what is going on here? This game lady did not stand up for the other brother. Is there an issue or anything? I said, no. There's something called emotional bank account. When she was in the school, in a year 1 and year 2, she would ask me, I say, oh, uncle, I need some money for party. Oh, uncle, I got into an issue with this guy. Oh, uncle, this my boyfriend is doing this to me. And I'm always there to listen. I'm always there to advise. I'm always there to give. That's why the day, without asking, my check will just go without asking at all. So it tells you real quick that it's important that you must seek to invest into people's emotional bank account. If you're going to hear me, write into the chat box, say invest into emotional bank account. Invest into emotional bank account. So let's go to the next slide. And so it just tells you some things you must do. Seek first to understand. And so how do you balance people's emotional bank account? Next slide, please. Number 1, you seek to understand. Don't try to be understood. Seek to understand. And this is by a man called Franklin Covey, where I work with Franklin Covey company a lot. I facilitate with them. And so this model came from there. Seek to understand. Don't try to be understood. Stop telling the person to understand you first. you must learn to understand. Number two, you must learn to keep promises. If you say this person is your friend, you must keep the covenant around it. Number three is think of a win-win. Never think of the other person going back bad, going back depressed, going bad unfulfilled. No, you must think about, okay, how can I win in this case and how can you win in this case? And you're saying, if I'm the only one that will win and you will not win, I'm not going to take that win until we come into a concession and we're able to have a win-win together. Anytime you find out that things are not going the way you expected, number four, clarify expectations. Learn to clarify expectations and be loyal, don't abuse it. Then always give feedbacks on how things are going and how you are going around life for those things there for you, right? So this works for you a lot. So next slide here, as I'm about to round off now. So everywhere you go to, you learn to network. You can network in a business, but never go to a place where you will not talk to anybody, where you will not network with anybody. There are business places to network, there are institutions to network. Anywhere you find yourself, in the aircraft, you can find yourself in your car, in a taxi. You'll be shocked at what you think underdogs can even do for you in life. So make it a point that everybody you meet in life, you are just going to connect with the person, and that is just going to be your best bet. I think I would take my time now. I was supposed to stop by 6:27, but now 6:33. I will just stop here and probably interact with you and take a few questions, and we will be done. Thank you so much. Goodness, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akin. It was a very insightful session. And I'm sure that so many of us have learned, something new just by listening to you today. So please, anyone, if you have any questions, Mr. Akin is here for you. Ask him now. Remember at the beginning, I said you can drop your questions in the chat. If you have any questions on how you can network, any area that you didn't fully understand, or anywhere you're having challenges currently, please ask your questions now. You can ask us in the chat. You can unmute yourself and ask. Thank you so much, Mr. Akin.
You're super welcome.
Someone unmuted themselves. Someone trying to ask a question. Joshua.
Yes, good evening. Mr. Akin, thank you from dishing from your wealth of experience. I am truly honored. Sir, my question is, what if I meet, just like you met Osibanjo on the plane, and from the story, and this is how it went. For example, now I meet somebody, I need a job from him, probably like a contract. And I know he has the capacity to give that to me. And just like you said, it won't be right if I just go and I begin to ask him for that contract. What are the possible steps would you advise me to go so I can gain his trust and probably also have the contract? And then secondly, also, does motive really matters when you're trying to gain trust or